morning, you all. Gives here. So before I start, let's do the time check. It is now 4:51 a.m. and it's Monday, December 19th. So I've been awake since 2:30 to 3, and I just want to do a storytelling. And since I've been seeing this kind of topic on TikTok, it's like a body count topic. So I'm going to share mine with a little story to back up the counts. So first, I do actually have 5 BFs since I was 18 turning 19. Since when I was 18 I had a BF for only 3 to 5 days, and the reason why that BF only lasted 3 to 5 days because that was actually a threat. So that guy is too young to act like a man. So I was his high school crush. I'm older than him 2 years. I'm not sure if it's 2 years or 3 years. So I'm older than him 3 years gap. And when he was first year, I was like on my second year or third year, and he had a crush on me. And fast forward, when I graduated high school, right on the day of graduation, on its next day, I went to Manila to work. Right after my graduation, I went to Manila. I went to Manila to work, and I worked there for only 5 months, a helper, because no one was going to support me to college after graduating high school. So I had to decide, before I even graduated, I decided to look for a job, to have something to do, since that I will not be going to college after high school. So I worked to Manila for 5 months, and I came back here because I was a naughty helper there. Once I didn't follow my boss request to stay in their house, because I requested a day off with my girlfriend, a friend girl, because we already planned ahead that we were going to have our vacation together for one day. So we already planned that, and my boss didn't approve my request. It was like a week before the day of our planned vacation to the mall. She didn't approve it. So what I did, I let them go to work, and there's 2 kids in that house that I'm taking care of, and I'm also taking care of those 2 kids, even though my pay was just 1,500, so it's 1,500 per month, or 2,000, I forgot, because that was year 2015 or 2012. That was year 2012. And then they sent me home. Okay, and then after I came back here, that guy that was having crush on me back in high school, and he was actually having crush on me, like, and up until I graduated, but I didn't like give attention to him because he's young and he's cute, he's nice figure kind of guy. However, those time in high school, I don't wanted to engage in any relationship because I already witnessed my classmates who've been changing boyfriends from one boyfriend to another, and they're getting pregnant while we're still in high school. So I don't want to see myself in that situation. I don't want to see myself being impregnated by a young boy, and yeah, I don't really want it to bring like a life in this world and make them suffer just because of my bad decisions in life. So going back, so when I came back here in province from Manila for almost 6 years, I mean 6 months working in a house as a helper, I came back here, and then that guy, that boy who've been having crushed on me since high school, we met, or we actually don't met. It just happened that we saw each other, and he was friend of my friend, and then all of us hung out to the Dagat. Like there's a cottage there where we used to hang out. We went there and we hang out with friends, and then he started like courting me those days that we having we're hanging out with friends in the Dagat, in the cottage. And then one time we're already ready going home, and that time I was actually going home to my aunt's house in Canonoy. So we hang out in Miranda, and I'm heading home to Canonoy, which is Hinigaran. And then on the highway, we're already on the highway part, and then he was the only thing that I hate about what he did is he threatened me. He threatened me like, I want you to say yes to me, or else I'd go in the center of that highway and I'd let the car passing kill him, like something like that. I don't know how to express it in, or how to formulate a sentence that would match his words during those time, but that's the threat that I received from him. Like he would suicide if I turn him down. So of course there's a lot of friends that we have around us, and I don't want to be a reason for him to be dead just because I didn't say yes to him. So before we even reached the highway, I said yes. Not because I love him, but because I'm scared that he might suicide in front of me. Then his family would going to blame me. So I just said yes. And he was ecstatically happy because I said yes, but deep inside I was not happy because I felt like I was like tricked, and I didn't really want to have a boyfriend at that time. So I came home to my aunt's house, and then like couple days later, him and our friends came to my aunt's house, and then of course my aunt's house prepared because it was my friend. She doesn't know that one of that friend that I brought in the house are actually my officially boyfriend. So my aunts prepared food for us for our lunch there, and then um, this this guy was doing like a sweet um, gesture towards me, and my aunts noticed it. She notices that this guy is like too touchy to me. Like he would hug me, he would sit on a sofa and would grab me, not really like grabbing unrespectedly, but it's just like he wanted to be affectionate, and so I like go along with that affection that he's like trying to throw at me. So I sit on side of the sofa where he was sitting on, and then he hugged me from my waist. My aunt saw that, and then right after that lunch, they went home. Friends and him went home, and then um, the night, like our dinner time with my aunts, she asked me, like, "Are you a girlfriend and a boyfriend?" Something like that. So she noticed something is off between that guy and I, because Tita never saw me having a boyfriend. I never had a boyfriend before him. So I admitted right to my aunts what just happened like a couple days ago. I told him that I was threatened that he would commit suicide if I would say no to him. And then right on the butt, Tita, my aunts told me that that was not right. So I should have break up the guy, because it isn't right to threat someone just to be together. So, and I believe the word of my tita that it isn't really right, because it doesn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right to me when I answered yes to him, because that's not what I want to happen. I don't want him. I don't really want to be in a relationship during those times. And so what I did is I broke up with him over the text. So I messaged him that I couldn't continue on this relationship. It's just that only like last less than a week, like threatened relationship, because I couldn't really deal with it, because I don't want to feel like being pressured, being choked by someone who would want to be with me. Then I don't have the same feeling as him towards me. I texted him that I wanted to break up with him, and then he didn't take that lightly. He was mad at me because I broke up with him over the phone, and he was trying to know why. I didn't say that it was my aunts who told me to break up with him, because I would literally not going to think about breaking up, because I was too scared for him to commit suicide. And I was thankful that my aunts asked me about the situation and advised me to quit on that relationship, because I didn't really want it to be in there. And yeah, so I quit using messaging, and he got mad at me, and then he was faking wrong sent messages, because that was like the thing back then, that when you have feelings to someone and you couldn't really like message them directly, you would fake a wrong sent message, like. And then that relationship, that a weak relationship that we have, that was actually my first BF, and I didn't want that, and there's no body count on that relationship. And I was thankful, because he's too young for me, he's too childish to like commit in a relationship, and I was too. So I was just like 18 during that time. So being 18 is actually not fully matured, not until you're on your like 20s, mid 20s, then you would have a lot of experience to make you a matured woman. So I broke up with him, and then right after, like few months after that, like almost 6 months maybe, I met my um, my real boyfriend. So that we lasted um, 3 years. The real boyfriend that I have, we lasted 3 years, and the reason why I considered him a real boyfriend because there was no pressure there. Uh, Everything is consensual, and there's no um, third party before our relationship. So he was single, I was single that time, and um, based on his uh, like elder sister, that I was his first GF, and I was the first girl that she brought to their house to meet his parents, his family. So I kind of proud of him for doing that, and introducing me to his family. So one of his sister actually didn't like me that time because I wasn't. I am just like a bum. I don't have work. I don't go to college. So that sister of her hated me that much that when he brought me to their house, that sister of his would like wild. She would uh, talk bad things, like not exactly towards me, but that things that she was like spewing is like has something to do with me. So my BF or my ex BF didn't like her saying bad words or saying foul words to me while we were there. So he like kind of fight back. He I didn't like the way that my ex BF fight like stand for me because he literally broke their window. It's like a jealousy window. He smashed it with a mono black chair out of his frustration because of his sister throwing shades on me that time. It was actually night time, and then I got mad to my boyfriend or my ex because she's like, I didn't want him to make her sister feel bad. I understand that the sister didn't like me at all, so I don't want him to fight back to his sister just for me because I understand the situation. Not all his family would really like me because I'm just a bum. I can prove nothing to them. They want like a girl that is more established in life for him. So I don't have that like I don't have an established life when we met. So I understand that one of his sister wouldn't like me, but the rest of his family that do really like me because I tried my best. And then when the time that I came to college, I went to study. Um, that sister of him was actually started to like me because I was like going to college, and that's something like a token for her to like me, or a passport for her to like me is me going into college. But when my aunt suddenly decided that she no longer wanted to support me, so I stopped going into college, and that sister of him started to hate me again because I was not going into college. I was like staying at home doing nothing. I don't have a job, and yeah, she started unliking me again. That I get used to it, and me and my ex-boyfriend keep our relationship together. And of course, that's my first real BF, and I loved him so much. And during those time, of course, I loved him so much, and he loved me too. And we don't have, both of us actually don't have work, but that didn't really matter on our during our present days. And one like few things that I remember about him is that when since that we don't have work, we don't have money for loads, then whenever it's our time to go to sleep, we would do that. Smart alerts, we're actually a smart subscribers, like a SIM card, are subscribed to a smart telecommunication, and they offer that three times smart alert. After your load expires, you have three times of sending smart alert to someone, and that usually is for you to let someone know that you no longer have a load, and that person could send you a load over. But we're using smart alert to let each other know that we're going to sleep. So I would send the smart alert to him because I don't have load to send the regular messages. So click smart alert, and then after some minutes, he would smart alert back to me, just letting me know that he received the smart alert, and um, letting me know that he's also going to sleep. So I used to use that. So we even overused smart alerts. We were able to like send smart alert in daily basis without having a reload. So it's just like our routine, because um, both of us couldn't really make the day without communication during our time. So there's no day that we won't message each other when we are still together. So and that's the reason why we lasted for that long, because we both um, like give each other the same effort. So there's no imbalance in our relationship. So he would get the attention, or he would get everything that he's giving to me, like the attention, the love, the affection. So we are totally equal, giving each other that components of relationship. And the other thing is, other thing that I remember about him is that one um, Valentine's Day. Um, of course, we don't have money. I was staying at my sister's house, on the same like his house, and my sister's live-in partner house was actually just right next to each other. So they are in one barrio. So um, most of the people on that barrio is are just their relatives. So they are just all relatives in that barrio. So whenever I was there in my sister's house, um, we would meet right there. And one Valentine's Day, I was there in my sister's house taking care of my nieces. He came over to me, and he has that baho flower. So it's kind of wild berry flower. It doesn't smell good, and that he only has one piece of that, um, like one bouquet of that, or one whatever, because that bud has a lot of small flowers in it. So he came to me during the Valentine's Day, like 20, I forgot what year was that. And then he brought me a bouquet of baho. So I felt so um, like happy during that time, because that was the first time that he brought me flower, even though it's just like one piece of flower. But that meant everything to me, because that was the first time, and that was the Valentine's Day that he remembered to do something for me, bringing me some gifts, a flower. And yeah, so he made my day because of that small thing, and that small thing for him is actually a big thing for me. So yeah, like I really love the experience of being remembered and in special day, even though there's no big gifts. It's just like an effort of him bringing me that piece of flower made my day. And the other thing that I remembered about him is he taught me how to cut my nails correctly, because before I was not able to cut my nails correctly. So I'd show you I'd show you some example. So the way I cut my nail before is just like this. I started from the top. I would cut it like that, and then I would start cutting from the going to the corner of my nail. So I would cut my nails like that. So it would turn out an even cutting of your nails because of the way I cut it before. But that's how I cut my nail before, because I sometimes reminisce all the good memories that we have. So that's how I cut my nails before. So it's not even. And he taught me the proper way of cutting your nails was actually from, this is his proper way of cutting nails, and I believe him because it made my nail cut perfectly. So he taught me to start from both sides first, not in the middle. So you just cut it from the side to side, going to the center. So it would be like perfectly arced cutting your nails. And I believe that because right now I can see my nails are cut perfectly. And since that day he taught me how to cut my nails, this is the way how I cut my nails now, since then. Yeah. And that's one of those memories that I still cherish up until now. Cutting my nails, the way he taught me how to do it, and the flower. And yeah, so there's the body count there. That's my first body count with him, and I didn't regret giving up myself to him, my virginity to him, because he actually treated me so special, and I received the same energy that I gave him. So he didn't make me feel that I had to chase him, to beg him. I didn't feel that I need to please him just to keep the relationship working or going. So he literally was the best man that I met. He was actually older than me, and I like being in a relationship with an older guy. So we have a 6 years gap. So I was like 18 turning 19 that time, and he was like 24. So, and he treated me well, and the reason why we broke up is actually a third party that started in me. So I cheated on our relationship. So before I spoil the story of my cheating towards my wonderful BF. So when my aunts decided to quit supporting me in college, so I decided to go to work again in Manila. So I was again a helper, and my salary was like 2,000 per month that time, like around 2014. Yeah. So I came back on working as a house helper, and there's another 2 kids there that I had to look after, because their parents leaving them to my boss's house, and my boss is actually old. They are couply married for a long time. He's actually my boss there. He's like old man, so I was like 19 turning 20 that time, or I was 20 already. And then I worked there, and during those time when I was working there, because most of the time they're actually church active people. Both of them are active in church. The guy, or the male boss, was actually an evangelist on the church that they are attending to, and the wife is actually a sisters in the church. So they are both active member of the church. So most of the time, the wife would go out, go to church, go to some place, like, because they have a business, they have a church to attend, and that's daily life basis. So there are times that this husband, he's actually on his 50, and I was on my early 20, so I was like 19, 20. I work for them. So like, it didn't start right on the first month, second month of me working. So I was like doing my daily routine, wake up early, like around 4:30, wake up, clean the house, prepare their breakfast, clean the garage, and clean the dog poop, and clean everything that I need to clean in that house, and buy groceries, because I was in charge and almost everything in that house. So one day, the first time that he did something gross for me, because I don't have any like emotional attachment to him, because he's just my boss. So one day, the wife was away. She actually went to somewhere. So I and the husband left alone in the house. So my usual routine was actually just to clean, and he was on the third floor CR, and he called me upstairs. I was actually downstairs, like ironing some clothes in my room, because I ironed their clothes, because they wanted their clothes to be ironed, even though it's just like a workout clothes. They wanted to be ironed. And then he called me to upstairs. So I came upstairs, and he was in the CR taking a shower. Then he was like, he was naked. he was naked. Then at first time I felt like unright because that was my first time seeing like an old man's body, and I don't really think that it is like appropriate for him to show his body to me not wearing anything and then ask me to rub a soap on her back. So as a helper, even though I don't wanted to touch a single piece of his skin because I felt gross the time that I saw him naked, and the time he asked me to like rub soap on his back, I cringely did it. So I grabbed the soap and I wanted to complain because it's not right to God, you know what I'm trying to point this time, because it's not really right for anyone to use their position to like take advantage of other people, like not because just I'm just like the helper there, he would just do anything that he wanted to do with me, something like that. So he should respect me as a helper, as a human being there, but he didn't. He crossed the line. He asked me to rub that soap on his back, and I did it anyway because I don't want to make him feel that I'm uncomfortable, because it's just like rubbing soap behind his back, nothing else. And then after rubbing soap behind his back, he actually turned around. So I have the chance to look, to see him facing me. And what's more gross there is he asked me to rub soap and you know where. Of course I refused. I run downstairs because I didn't really wanted to rub soap behind his back, how much more and down there. So that wasn't the last time that he would flirt on me. Like I kept refusing him, and then there's time that I begged him because whenever his wife's away, he would come into my room and would like flirt on me, would touch me. Of course, I kept on refusing because I don't really wanted to be in a relationship or to cheat on my BF, because I love my BF that time and we're still together, and I was actually telling my BF what's happening in that house, and my BF was like, I want you to come back home and live with me. So he wanted, my BF wanted me to stop working there and just come home and live with him. But my BF situation is not something that I could live with, because he doesn't have work. He's living with his family, and I don't want it to be with the same house as the sister. One of his sister is actually mad at me, so I don't want to be in their house, because I don't want a lot of chaos. So when I stay with my BF's family's house, then there would be a lot of chaos, and I need to do anything just to please them, like me. So I didn't. I like used everything, like the whatever it is, old man's doing, like flirting, I swallowed it. And one time, um, I asked him to stop flirting on me because I didn't want him. I didn't like him at all. And I was telling him that if his wife would know that he was flirting at me, then it wasn't my fault if they would like break their marriage, because it was him flirting at me. And during those times there's no like sexual interaction. It was never been a sexual interaction while we're on their house because of my refusal. But after I begged him to stop, he actually did for like a month or so. I begged him to stop. I felt respected actually, because he did stop bothering me. So that lasted for a month or so, and I kind of adore him for respecting my request to stop bothering me, to stop what you call that, to stop flirting at me. So I kind of miss the way he would like bother me. So when the time that he started doing it again, like a month or so after I begged him to stop, then he started again. Then those are the time that I kind of give in, not really give in sexually, but I kind of developed the feelings towards him because he respected my request not to bother me, to flirt at me. And he 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 was able to establish that trust, um, my trust towards him, because he didn't mm, he didn't like push me to do something with him during those times that I didn't really like or want him. And but during those times that I started to have liked him, then that was the time that I felt like I could let go of my boyfriend, like my current boyfriend. And I no longer like updating him about what's happening because it's kind of my situation. It's kind of things that I have to deal with myself. So yeah, so we have this touching a relationship within their house, and I never had a, like sexual intercourse with this old man in his house because I like respect the marriage and I respect the wife, because the wife lives there and she doesn't know anything that there's some emotion, emotional attachment that's being developed between me and her husband. And I asked his husband not to have that sexual intercourse because I don't feel like it doing in their house, because I was thinking like if I was on your wife's situation, I wouldn't going to like it having my husband having sex with someone or somebody within my house. So I didn't like cross the boundaries while we're still there because I respected the wife. And like 2 months before I came home, he actually had to come back to the ship because he was like a ship captain, what you call that? A seaman. He's a seaman, a ship captain in the ship or whatever. So he had to come back to his work for 6 months. So he will be away for 6 months, and 2 months after he left the house, I came back home to province because my aunt decided to send me back to college again. And then like 6 months after, I actually have a dreamt about him coming to the province looking for me with his wife, like bringing their car, their drive around our province just to look for me. And then he actually did without his wife. So I was like, I'm not sure where I was that time, but he visited me back in province. So I don't have an idea that he would visit because during those time I don't have phone, so I just going to college without any phone, any types of communication because I don't have money to buy myself a phone. Renting a boarding house during those time, but the time that he went here in our province, he actually went straight to my aunt's house in Kananoy. So he met my grandfather, and they talked, and he praises me for being a hard worker. After visiting my grandfather in my aunt's house, telling a lot of good things about me, he went into my college school. So he went into my school to look for me there, but he didn't find me there because I was probably absent during those time because I no longer have money to spend to go to school because during those time I always was actually always short because the budget that my aunt's giving me is not that big really, so you have to work on that money that you receive from your aunts as an allowance. So most of the time I would go absent just because I no longer have money to go to school. So since that he wasn't able to find me at my school, he came back to my lola's house and asked where I was. So my lola or my aunt told him my boarding house location, so he went there, and that was on the next day. So the next day I was actually at school. So when I came to school, those instructors that I have there told me that someone's looking for me and his name's Edwin. So I was feeling like, what? When I knew it, I'd actually like, because I was totally in love with him during those time. I was like praying that he would come, but the dream that I had days before he arrived in the province was actually a sign that he was coming because he was actually came for me. And I told him that dream that I had coming here in our province looking for me, and he actually did. So I kind of feel happy, very very happy, because I was like, I felt like I was that important to him, just for him to spend his time looking for me, visiting my family's place, visiting my school just to look for me. And he didn't find me at school, and when I was in school, he went into my he went into my boarding house, and during those time, one of my aunts was there with my sister, and he left a dial pad cell phone for me. So there's a SIM card inserted on that phone already with his number in it. So when I came home from school to my boarding house, my sister handed over the phone to me, and then I feel like, whose phone is this? Something like that, because I don't have phone, I don't have money to buy phone. And they told me that Edwin went there. He went there to look for me, and however I wasn't there. So he went off. So he just left the phone for me. And then I contacted him, thanking him for doing that kind of extra mile effort just to find me, because we lost communication during those times that I no longer have phone. So I could only go to the computer shop to try communicating with him, but since that my budget wasn't that much, I wasn't able to visit a computer shop, because it's kind of expensive for me during those times to spend your 5-10 pesos just for a computer for 1 hour. So we lost communication, and then I kind of wished that he would come for me, he would visit me, and he actually did, and that made me happy, because no one would expect that after several months without any communication, you would just think that nothing, that will not going to work anymore, because there's no single communications happening there. Because when I went to the computer shop, messaged him, he was offline because of the work that he had, because most of the time he would just be in the middle of the ocean, so there will be no signal there for him to make a message back on time. And yeah, so when I started contacting him using the cell phone that he left for me, he was during that same day, he was actually going back to Manila. He extends his stay in Bacolod, so we were able to spend our days, spend time together for like that was like 3 days. That was our first days being together, and yeah, we spent time together. We went to the cinema, we watched cinema, and that's when the first sexual intercourse happened between us during those days, and that was my second body count. And of course, knowing that this man that I'm having relationship with is a married man, and I was like in a relationship. I was in a relationship too, so I was like thinking like, this is not right, so this should be corrected, even though there's a deep emotional attachment towards that man. I tried my best to like talk him out, to like I asked him. We actually was able to meet like about 3 times. He would come back to the province just to meet me there for like couple or 3-5 days, and then go back to Manila to spend time with his wife. And then I felt bad about his wife during those times that we were together, because his wife doesn't know that this thing is happening behind her back. So the last time that he went here, it's actually our third like meet here in Bacolod while I was in college. The third time that he came here to visit me, I actually asked him, um, like, I told him that we should try to cut our communication, like, to cut our communication once he left my province. So I told him that we should try not communicating to each other for a week and further, so we could stop this adultery that we're doing to his wife and my boyfriend, because even though the feeling for my boyfriend is no longer there, but I'm still like we're still boyfriend and girlfriend, and he's married. So I didn't really like to be in that situation, like having a relationship with a taken guy or a married man. So when he left, I tried my best to not answer. He actually did try his best too, so we didn't communicate to each other for a week. So we did it for a week, and then I said to myself, if I could do it in a week without communicating to him, then I could do it a month, a year without communicating to him, until I like that feelings that I have for him fades. So I was actually was able to successfully do it for myself. But after a week without having communication, he actually messaged me that he could no longer do it. He wanted to just come back to me. But I didn't let myself fall in that same situation, because I was thinking that if he couldn't do it, if he couldn't keep himself away from me, then I should do it for myself and for his wife and for my boyfriend. That even though it's kind of hard thing to do, to let go of someone that you love, but we're not in the right timing. He's married, I'm taken, and I don't want to keep hurting anybody. When they would knew it, they would probably be hurt by what I'm doing. And I don't want to come to the point that his wife would know our affairs, because I know that if she would have a chance to discover it, that their marriage will just go to waste. So I don't want the time to come that I would become the reason for their relationship to be destroyed. So I did my best to cut our communication, not knowing his wife that there was me and her husband's intimate relationship. And months passed. I was able to to release the emotions that I have towards him, the old man. So, and then after those time that I was like trying my best to lose emotional attachment to that man, I was actually not in communicate with my BF, because I felt bad because I cheated on him. And I made sure that when I come back, when I accepted my BF again, because he was like, he never stopped communicating with me. He didn't stop trying his best for me to to just be okay with him, because he didn't know that there's this man that made me lose my feeling for him. So, um, like months after that, and when I was completely okay, um, the feeling for the old man was gone. So that's the time that I was able to love my BF back. And then when me and my BF was together, I felt guilty all the time. So um, I wanted to admit to him that I made mistakes and I deserved whatever reaction that he would have towards that mistake that I did. So what I did, when I just I waited for us to have a simple fight, and we actually did have a simple fight, and that's when I had the courage to admit to him that I cheated on him, because I couldn't really like bring out the news when while we're still okay, we don't have problem, because I don't want to spoil the happiness. So I waited until we have like a fight, and when we have a fight, I actually used that opportunity to tell him the truth, that I cheated on him, that I deserved worst. I deserve all the worst. I deserve his wrath, something like that. But since he really do love me, and he said that he would still accept me even though the thing happened behind his back. He don't wanted to lose me. He don't wanted to give up on me. And um, even though those times that I was able to like develop the love for him again, so it feels to me like I love him again, that he's everything to me again, that I love him more than before. But I had to give him the freedom to like decide if he wanted to stay with me, if he wanted me still after all of the cheating that I did to him. And he still chose me, but I know that his trust would never be the same for me. His trust would never be 101% for me. So I kind of accepted that, and I still broke up with him because I no longer deserved him. He deserved someone else better that's not going to cheat to him. So I quit, not because I no longer loved him, but I deserved the worst, and he don't deserve a cheater. And of course, he went home frustrated, depressed, and I was also having that depression. I was like on the verge of committing suicide because I could not take the depression anymore. For in that situation that I created, I hurt the person that I loved, and I let go of the person that I love just because I made a mistake. And then I was like on the when I was like on my depression, I was not eating, I was not sleeping, but I know that there's something that could fix me from being suicidal those days, and that's only him. So I know it's kind of selfish that I only think about my like situation. Like I actually contacted him because I wanted to be okay, because I know that he's the only reason for me to be okay, because I wanted him. He is everything. And I actually contacted him, and the first time that I contact him, his sister that truly hates me answered the phone, and she said bad things about me, like cursed me for hurting his brother's feelings. And I actually do understand that, and I didn't fight back because I know it was my fault why her brother is suffering right now. But I told her to tell my boyfriend that I still love him, that I wanted everything to work out, and I am so sorry for what I did. And then I end the call, and then after that, my boyfriend contacted me, so he was the one who's talking on the phone. Then I was like, from then when I heard his voice, that was actually the time that I felt like that I was like no longer depressed. I no longer like down, because that voice was actually the remedy for my depression. I knew it from the time that I was having depression, that he's the only one who could um, help me go through that depression, that suicidal thoughts that I was experiencing and having. And we tried working things out, and even though that in my mind that I would never ever have his 101% trust, I actually told him that I knew that even though we're still together right now, I knew that your trust would no longer be the same as before my cheating happened. But I understand that, because I know was the reason why I broke your trust. It was my bad decision that breaks your trust for me. So I kind of accepted the fact that his trust would no longer be the same as before. So we still communicate, still like kind of going back to before. The love still there, the communication never fades. And however, I had that thought that the trust would never be the same. So I came back working in Manila, and of course, before I went to Manila, I met him. I actually bring him to my lola's house, and we slept there together. And then, like that was our last time that we were together. And then after that, we separated. He came back home, and I come back to Manila to work for another helper work again. So I work as a helper in Manila again, and there's another two child in that house that I need to take care of, even though my job is just to take care of the house. So like we continue our communication there, night, afternoon, day. We will not lose communication. So it was month of October or November, right after his birthday. His birthday was actually November 2. Then right after his birthday, I noticed something, like he's no longer communicating. And before even that happens, I actually prayed to God that if ever my boyfriend would cheat on me or whatever, he would commit the same mistake that I committed within our relationship. I prayed to God to prepare my heart that I would like not be so I would not experience the same depression, the same um, hurt that I felt when I admitted my um, mistake or my mistake to my BF, because it could have killed me, or it could have like take my life, because I was in the verge of my depression and my suicidal thought is so strong that I could just get my life away. But I no longer wanted to come back on that situation, or on that same situation that I would think bad things to myself. And then, so before we separated, I told him that if ever the time that you would do the same mistake that I did within our relationship, I told him that I was prepared for that. And before I even told him that, I actually had a dream about him going back to the Mindanao, and him having like sex with someone. And in my dream I was like there, saw them having that. And then of course because I believe sometimes my dreams are actually the reality in the future, because there's a lot of my dreams that actually happened in the future. It may not be the same dream that I dreamed about, but it's the same situation from that dream that would happen. So I told him that dream that I have. So he told me that it's not gonna happen, that he will not going to like cheat on me. But I told him that if ever you do, if ever it comes to the point that you do, just admit it to me, because I know it. I know in myself that it isn't easy to admit a mistake. It was hard to me to admit my mistake to you, but I still did, because I know that you deserve to know what's going on behind your back, and you deserve to have your freedom to decide if whether you wanted to stay with me after that, or if you wanted to just leave me alone. Then I respect that decision. And I told him that if ever you came to that point that you would met someone else and cheat on me, then please admit it to me, because I would accept it. Then after that, that's when before I told him to admit if ever things happened. The dream was actually before our conversation, heart to heart, face to face conversation, and I told him about the dream. And I told him that if ever things happen, just admit it to me, because I know it's hard, but it's important to me that you admit things to me, because it was hard for me to admit things to you, but I did. I give you your option. I give you your freedom to decide whether you wanted me still, or you no longer wanted me. So when the time comes, it's month of October. I'm not sure what year. He's actually already back in Mindanao, and I was back working in Manila, and he came there to Mindanao to finish his study, because I actually would not allow him to go away if it's not because of the reason that he wanted to go and study there in Mindanao. So I allowed him to go in Mindanao for him to study, because that sacrifice that we're doing was actually for his good. If ever he would benefit to that, if ever he would come to college. And then like few months or several months passed. Then from having a communication on a daily basis, one day or a week, I didn't get any communication from him. So I kind of like preparing myself, because um, I have this instinct that something is already going on behind me, and I may not be sure what it is, but it is something that I need to be prepared of. So I prepared myself for the worst news that I would ever receive from him. So one day, after weeks of not having communication, but I would still keep on messaging him, but he's not replying, and I was still kind of worried. Aside from expecting a bad news, I was worried might have something bad happen to him, something like that. And then after weeks of no response from him, he messaged me out of the blue, and I was like, I felt happy, because I knew that he was okay. He actually called me, and then hearing his voice was actually an assurance that he was okay. And still, I'm on the sense of preparing my mind and my heart, because it's been like weeks since our last communication, and there could be things that happens between those times that he wasn't communicating with me, or before we lost communication. There's a lot of possibility that could happen. So I prepared myself to hearing a bad news or good news. Or I actually was he admitted to me that he impregnated a girl, and at first I actually didn't get shocked, because that was exactly what I'm expecting him to tell me, that he cheated. And like, even not I during those times I didn't even know that he cheated on me. Like, it's just like unheard bad news. I was already prepared, because I begged to God that whenever this time comes, please make my heart ready, my mind, make my everything in me ready to receive bad news. And then when I heard that, him telling me that he impregnated a girl like 6 years younger than him, or 10, like the girl was like 17 and he's 26 or 27, I forgot. So it's like several years gap. And then that didn't put me on shock, because I expected a bad news. And I told him that I actually thank him for being honest, because he could have just kept that news secret and just keep continuing our relationship time. So I thanked him for being honest, and I told him that I understand that it is hard to admit this kind of mistake, because I've been there, I experienced that too. So I appreciate you being honest to me, and he actually earned my highest respect because of what he did. Because I know that it is hard to admit this kind of mistake towards someone that you don't want to lose, but admitting that you actually giving that person to decide whether they would wanted to keep you or if they would wanted to move on from you. And of course I moved on from him because I couldn't like live my life with him without thinking the girl and the baby. So I don't want that kind of situation to happen in me in the future, that I would get impregnated by someone else's boyfriend and leave me after. So I did the right decision for the girl and for the baby. So even though I wanted him for me, but I need to choose the selfless decision. So I gave up on him, not because I no longer love him, but because of the child. The child deserves to have a father, because I know how hard it is to grow up without having a father around you. So I don't want to have that child growing up without his father in his side, and having the fact that I could take his father away from him if I think selfishly that time. So yeah, and right after like a month or so, that's when the effect started taking its toll. So I get depressed months after. He would still try communicating, and he wanted me to take him back, but no. I said no to him, and I said that this is what I prayed for, that whenever these things happened, God would prepare me to accept the situation, and I was actually accepting it with all my heart without any hatred towards him, because he's human and he could make mistakes as I did. And then after months, when he stopped communicating totally, that's when I realized that I was having a depression again from that, from what he did. But I know I deserved that. I deserved that situation. I did it to him, and I deserved it when he did it to me. So I deserved the same trauma that I gave him. So I kept begging to God to give me the strength that I need to go through this depressions, this suicidal thought that I was having, because I know there's a lot of good things that would happen to me, because I was true to myself. Then after a month, a year, I actually was able to kind of move on from him, because there's no way for us to be okay. Like in terms of relationship, we could no longer be together, because he already have a upcoming relationship with him, I didn't regret the 3 years because it was worth it. It's worth everything. There's the respect. We don't lose respect to each other. We don't lose the yeah, we respect each other before and after our relationship because we became honest to each other. So we didn't break up in a bad terms. We break up in a good terms because we both experienced the same traumas that we gave to each other. So it's kind of quits now. So yeah, so 1 year after our breakup, I actually met another guy, and we've been in an LDR. He's actually my school, like my schoolmates in high school. So he's like 1 year ahead of me in high school, and then um, we met in Facebook. So like we're talking for about 2 to 3 months in Facebook. We're communicating through Facebook, and then we developed. We got developed each other. So, and then we've planned to meet. Our first met in his apartment, and before the meeting, he actually introduced himself as non-smoker, non-drinker, no GF, and I was totally single that time. And then I liked it when the guy don't smoke and don't drink a lot because I hate smoke or cigarette smokes. So I hate smelling those smokes from the cigarettes. So we met in his apartment, and that's when my third body count occurred on that same night. And so things happened, and then after that things happened, he smoked. He smoked in front of me after telling me he don't smoke before we even met. He smoked in front of me after that intercourse or after that sexual act. He smoked. So I got scared for my life because he lied to me. Like he told me he don't smoke, but after that he smoked. So what more thing that he's lying about? So I was like scared for my life because we're just like we're in his apartment, so he could do anything that he wanted to do with me. Like he could do bad things to me, and like that was the worst nightmare that I was able to experience, really, because I was scared for my life because I was made to believe that he is not a smoker, that he never smoked, but in an instant he smoked in front of me. Then I was like overthinking what more things that he could do. And what I did during that night is I go along whatever he wants, just for me to come home safe. So I did whatever he wants me to do during those night. And then when it's morning came, I left around 5 a.m. from his apartment, and I felt like there's a big door that was pulled out from my body. I felt safe. And then I called that night a one night stand because it never had a chance to I didn't give him a chance to um, know me more. So that was the first and the last time that I met with him, because I felt unsafe during the night with him, having that fact that he smoked in front of me and he lied about it. So there could be a lot of things that he's lying about his personality. I was thankful that I was able to come home safe, and nothing provoked him to do something bad about me. And then after that one night stand, I stayed single for 5 years. Nobody counts for 5 years. So during those 5 years, when I was 23, I actually decided to join a online dating site that was Filipino Cupid, and I met a lot of like guys in there. I'm in a relationship for 6 to 8 months with the first guy, and the second guy, it was like 3 years LDR without meeting in person, and then the last guy was actually 5 months. So there's three men I met online, and I was trying to work things out. However, time really is not working, because I'm whatever. So yeah, but I was thankful that those LDR relationship keep me away from being in an actual relationship to guy and to a guy. So me having no actual or physical relationship with a guy for 5 years actually was a blessing, because I could have been impregnated, or I could have a child right now that would suffer the life, because I'm unstable, and possibly giving a child without like giving birth a child without a father. So I don't want it to give a life in this. I don't want to give birth to a child in this world and experience the same life experience that I have. I don't want to give birth to a child without a good family, because I wanted to be stable mentally, like emotionally and financially, before I wanted to have a child, because I know how hard it is to be in a broken family, to be in a poor family. So I don't want it to give a child a life that I experienced before. So I wanted my child to be in a good situation whenever they arrive in this earth. So I thank those for those guys who kept me loyal to them during those LDR relationship. And even though one of those guy, which is a 3 year guy, man, they're actually on their 50s, and the last one was actually on his 40s, and that 3 year guy was actually a pervert one. So I was only was able to accept that he was a pervert since we started. When we finally broke up, I broke up with him, and he would give me that permission to have sex with anybody, to find a black guy to fuck, something like that. So I kind of go along with the way he think, or the way he act, or the way everything. I accepted him for him, and even though there's a lot of time that his request is something that I couldn't take or I couldn't do, but I would still try doing it just for him. So I didn't. I was thankful because without them, without those LDR relationship, I could have been with someone with a physical interaction that would made me pregnant. But I was thankful that I didn't. I wasn't being able to be with someone physically during those 5 years. So I'm totally thankful for those LDRs that I have, because not because of you, I would have been having a child right now and having them suffer the same way I suffered when I was a child. My parents, or my mom, doesn't have anything and gave birth to me and took me away from my father. So I don't want my kids to experience the same shit that I experienced before. The reason why I was thankful that I didn't had a chance to met someone near me that would have me pregnant, and after 5 years of not having a body count, just last April of this year, I actually had my 4th body count, and it was younger man. So he was actually like 5 years younger than me. So he's just 22 and I was like 27. He's really like young, immature man. And yeah, I fell in love with him, and then that relationship that we had actually only lasted like a week or two, because I couldn't like bear it, because he was taken. He has a girlfriend, and his girlfriend doesn't have an idea about what's happening behind her. So I felt bad for the girlfriend, because these things that I'm doing right now behind her is actually the things that I don't want to happen to me in the future. That's why I tried my best to correct my mistake. So after a week or two of having a relationship with his boyfriend, I was able to fix it. So I tried my best, even though the result of that attempt to correct my mistake was actually me having a lot of depressions, a lot of anxiety, a lot of suicide thoughts. But I know what I'm suffering from is what I deserve, because I cheated on somebody else's. I cheated with her boyfriend, so I deserve all the pain that I experienced during those times. She didn't deserve it, because she was loyal to him and he wasn't, and I was an accomplice of him cheating to her. So I deserve whatever I had go through during those depression times, because I wouldn't going to experience that if I didn't allow things to happen between us, knowing that he is taken. So, but now, like 2nd week of April until now, I don't have any body count. So I'm proud of myself, because I was able to control myself, not being a selfish, because I could just be so selfish, having a lot of body counts, and one of those could make me pregnant and give birth to a child and let the child experience the same shit I experienced. But I'm not going to let that thing happen to me, because I wanted, if ever I would have a child, I wanted him or her to have a good life before coming out to this world, because I know how hard it is, really. So sacrificing my what you call that, like my sexual desire, is actually not a big thing, because I could live without it. However, I know all of us, we're just people, we're just human, we crave for that sometimes, and we could just have like get it from someone that we don't love, as long as that lust or that sexual cravings that we have would could be fulfilled. But that's not the thing for me, because I wanted any sexual relationship to be with someone I love. So having a like 4 body counts actually doesn't really a big thing. And for those people who kept asking me why I don't have a boyfriend, why I don't have a child in my age, you know what? Fuck you all. Yeah, fuck you all.